I do love that show. Okay,
No, for real.
so we're gonna real quick run through banking after the Depression because they realized there were a lot of problems with banking, obviously, when like 4,000 banks closed in a couple years. They were like, problematic. I can hear someone's music playing. Yeah, Riley, what's your question? Okay, your phones need to be away. If I see your phones, I'm going to write down a strike. Some of you are teetering on your second strike, which means I would call your parents. So, stop that. Okay, this is my side note. What? Yeah, I tell you. As a side note, I'm not making you take notes on this. I want you to listen. If you do want to take notes, you're welcome to, but I do not have a sheet for you.
Yeah.
That's my disclaimer.
Wait, disclaimer, it's not like a retention.
Okay, so what did the government do to fix banks? Because obviously there was a problem, so they had to do something, right? So they did, basically there were like three things. So the first thing is the Emergency Banking Act. This is FDR, who we're gonna talk about in 2 days. This is his first step to repairing trust in America's bank. So he's like, we wanna, first of all, Americans don't trust banks, so why would they keep money in the bank instead of under a mattress? Why are you laughing so hard? Making me nervous. Anyway, he's gonna repair trust in their banks with the Emergency Banking Act. So the Emergency Banking Act did three things, okay? I mean, I can give you a test on this. You don't even sit there. Go back to your seat, Javion. Okay, gave the president power to regulate banks. So FDR, who was the president, could regulate banks to make sure they didn't do anything they weren't supposed to do. Allowed the Fed to give emergency funds to banks it believed would fail without money. So it was like, actually, you now have the power to keep banks from failing. Okay? And the Secretary of the Treasury can issue funds to banks if they need it. It's the same type of thing. They can give emergency funds out. So this was to basically like restore confidence. Do you need to like? Okay. This meant instead of bank runs, banks could borrow money when borrowers asked for it, and the bank didn't have it. So this meant that if the bank ran out of money, they could get more. So people wouldn't have to worry about the bank running out of money and them not being able to get their money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. The Glass-Steagall Act. This is a fix for buying on the margin. So if you remember, part of the problem with buying on the margin is that banks were buying on the margin, which was not good when the market crashed, right? Then they couldn't get their money back. They had speculated. So this prohibited banks from mixing stocks and insurance businesses with banking. So they could not purchase stocks if they were a bank, or they couldn't purchase insurance if they were a bank because it was all mixed in together and very risky. No more buying on the margin. Okay, so if you get a loan now, they vet you to make sure that you are capable of paying back the loan. That's what a credit score is.
Yeah.
And actually, we failed in this again in 2007-ish with the Great Recession. Okay, on home loans, they were giving out home loans to people that weren't really people that they should have been giving home loans to. And so when all those people couldn't pay it back, the market crashed. And so that was what the Great Recession was in the 2000s. That's true. We're still kind of bouncing back from the recession. This meant that banks were much more stable and less likely to fail. It basically stopped them from gambling. Okay, and finally, this is the last one. I told you it was really short. This one is by far the most important one, and easily the one that you are probably most familiar with, even if you don't realize it. Okay, so it's protecting the money you've saved. It's the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and actually you can look up their website. It's kind of cool. This means that all the money that you put in the bank up to $250,000 is insured. So if for some reason the bank that you bank with goes out of business or crashes or whatever, the federal government will pay you back up to $250,000.
If you have more than
If you have more than that, then that's too bad. But
you're just stored in different banks.
right, that's yeah. If you have millions and millions, you're going to need a lot of banks to make sure that your money's insured. This examines banks and similar institutions for stability and legitimacy. So this makes sure they not only insure it, but they also look at banks to make sure that they're not doing the sketchy things prohibited by the other two acts. Does that make sense? This one's kind of making sure everyone's following the rules. This meant that in the unlikely event that a bank did fail, depositors would be able to get their money back and wouldn't go completely broke. Okay, so with a partner, you talk for a quick minute, discuss whether you think this fixed the banking system, and decide whether it was enough of a reform to fix the banking system. If you need help, consider whether you trust banks today. So chat. But like, how are you gonna get interest then?
Interest isn't that much.
No,
We can
that's
just
true.
stop making money so there's no inflation.
Yeah, interest also used to be more
so how are you
comparatively.
supposed to buy things when you don't make money?
Oh, that's when it goes like a riot. That's when it goes like riots and everything like that, I think.
So you want the whole entire society to
Okay.
have an honor system?
No, like you gotta stop producing money, but you earn money for working, so there's no inflation.
So we're gonna, that's a good discussion. We're gonna switch over, because you guys really like to discuss things and like argue. So I'm gonna give you a chance to do that. So what we're doing for today and tomorrow is we're gonna examine this question. I'm not giving you packets, I changed my mind.
What?
I was originally gonna give you packets, but instead we're gonna like walk around and we're gonna examine some things, and then you're going to have a debate tomorrow.
Wait, are we gonna stand in front of the class today?
No.
I
Okay, so prohibition, why did America change its mind? Okay, we know, and I have a reason for doing this right before we switch over to the New Deal. All right, we know, based on what we learned from Prohibition in the 1920s, that Prohibition was there for a while and then they got rid of it, right? We know that they had an amendment to instate Prohibition and then they uninstated Prohibition in 1933. So we're gonna look at why we think America stopped doing that, all right?
Money.
So kind of to go along with that, we have to look at the question, why do you think government exists? Like, what do you think government's purpose is? What is it supposed to do? So what drives government more?
Money.
I don't know why money is so big. I didn't do that on purpose. I just typed it in and it did this weird little thing at the bottom and it made it really big. So I'm not trying to convince you that this is the answer. It just turned out that way. Okay, so you're gonna have to go to respond at coleev.com/Camille Crossett 753, or you can text it if you want. But you can get on your Chromebook to do it. I've paused it so we can't see the results. But 1A would be helping citizens. So if you think government is created to help people and make sure that they get what they need and try to meet the needs of a community, you would answer A.
I think it was created in
If you think that it's to keep power or not look foolish, so if you think individual government makers act in certain ways so they don't look like idiots and so they can keep as much power as possible, then you would answer B. If you think that it is C, which is money, they stay in office to make money, then you would answer C.
Alright, I'm gonna tell you.
So now you can go and do the poll.
I think that the thing, the vision is not helpful, but then that's what I think. Which one is it?
I'm gonna put the link online, you just have to type it in. A, B, or C. It's not, there's no wrong answers. Did you text it to 7607? What Ash? I haven't put them in the grade book yet. Yeah, it's just auto graded now.
That's what I thought about,
Yeah, I have your classes graded, I just haven't put them in, because I'm waiting until like grade 6 periods before I put everyone in, so that's not fair.
Can you see if you receive responses?
Oh yeah, I've received responses, I'm just not putting them up because I don't want to sway you
Oh,
guys.
yeah, no, that's, I did it with the text thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
I think only 6 of you have responded, so I'm waiting on the rest of you. Oh, yeah.
There you go. No.
You text me, so all you have to do is text me. Okay, I'm waiting on more results. There's not very many of you who have done anything here. Or you can text them.
Butter's going down.
Yeah, so you just say,
And you going, Butter's not going, stop shit. It was
Oh, bitch.
124.2.
thanks, 5 minutes ago, it's going down.
Nuts were 116. Nothing is doing it now. It's all
Okay. Let's see what your results are. 'Cause I think there's plenty of you who did it. Now, they're interesting. Looks like we're a little skeptical about government, okay? A quarter of you said to help citizens, which is very optimistic and kind of you. Oh, it changed. Oh, it changed. Anyway, keeping power, not looking foolish. There's a good third of you. Stop changing your answers. All right. So, about 35-ish% of you, even though you changed your answers, said keeping power, not looking foolish. So you believe that they don't want to look foolish. And then a good 47% of you said money. Okay, so it looks like overwhelmingly most of you think that money drives the government. So we're gonna get deeper into that. Yes.
I think the government's original start was to help citizens like do their thing, and then over time it kind of switched over to money, and they're like, wait, we don't want to look like idiots, so we're gonna do money and.
Okay. Yeah, I should have all of the above. You're right. That's okay. Then you'd all say all of the above, and I wouldn't get any significant information. That's the problem with that. Okay. So we're done with that. Let me get to the thing I want to look at. All right. So we're gonna do this for tomorrow, today and tomorrow. So around the room, you'll notice there are 5 documents. 5 documents. There's documents A through E. Okay? My goal for today is to have you get through A and B at least. All right? I would love it if you could get further, but I want you to do it with detail, okay? I don't want you to just skim over it. So here's the thing. You're gonna have to analyze each of the documents. You're gonna walk around the room to do it. I'm gonna give you this piece of paper before I explain the rest, okay? So here is this. This is how you're gonna take notes and organize your thoughts for our debate tomorrow. Remember Bashir? He joined the debate team.
No, not the debate team, the debate class.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Kayla's trying to buy me bags, and I did not need to change my name.
I got 27 for test.
No, it was not.
No. I was in here yesterday. I was in here on Friday.
I swear, sometimes, I'm not saying this to me, I'm saying this as a.
All right.
I feel like your relationship is.
So around the room, there's a bunch of these documents, okay? There is a political cartoon, there's a graph, and then I think the rest are reading.
Why is there no way it doesn't support?
So you're gonna sort them into categories. So the question that we're gonna answer, and I'll write it on the board so you remember, okay, is what made America change its mind about prohibition? And you have 3 options, okay? So your options are, argument 1, the government cares. So the government got tired of like murders and homicides and gang activity that was coming up from prohibition, okay? Can you not lean on the board? I have stuff written behind it. Why are you standing there? You're watching the soccer? Yeah, James, close your computer. We're not watching soccer. Okay. Argument number 1, the government cares. Okay, argument number 2, the government gave up, okay? Basically, the government realized that everyone was drinking anyway because of bootlegging illegally. James, get off your phone.
That's crazy.
Okay. And so there was no power to the law anymore, so they just gave up. Okay, that's the second argument you could make about why prohibition ended. The third one is the government likes money. So we're about to study the New Deal, okay, which is where FDR made a whole bunch of government programs to help people get back on their feet. But in order to do that, he's going to need money. So this argument would be about him taking away prohibition so that he can get the money from the alcohol tax, so that he can make the New Deal work, okay? So that's how that one kind of works. So you're gonna go around the room and you're gonna look at each of these documents, and you can do it with other people. You can talk to other people as you move around the room, okay? In fact, what I would like you to do, here's what I was going to have you do, okay? I was gonna smack this packet down in front of you. And I was gonna have you go through every document and answer every single question on every single page, and then we were gonna do bucketing, okay, which is what we did last week. But instead of writing down the answers to all the questions, I just want you to discuss them with the people when you're at a picture, okay? So for instance, I'm over here, and I'm standing at this picture, and there's like 2 or 3 people with me, okay? I'm gonna look at this chart and I'm gonna be like, what was the homicide murder rate per 100,000 Americans in 1919? And I'm gonna go to 1919 and I'm gonna be like, oh, it looks like it's this number, okay? You don't, you talk about them out loud. So you need other people to move around with you so that you can talk to them about the questions. I do not want you skipping the questions. If I find out that you are not discussing things with people, then I will give you the packet and you will have to turn it in and be filled out. Okay?
I'm too sick to be.
So instead of that, as you move around, if you're looking at document B and you're like, you know what, I think document B really goes in this category, you're gonna write document B and then why it supports. Okay, so you'd write the reason you think it goes in that category. All right? Who has questions? Because I just gave you a lot of instructions. What are your questions about that? Okay, so everybody should be walking around and looking at pictures and discussing things while you fill out your notes, all right? You have looked at documents before, you know how to analyze them.
Stellar.